Just a menace. Just a menace. Menace is sobriety. Just a menace.
I did a really crazy thing. I jumped off the ferry in Hong Kong into the dirtiest water in the world.
What?
Yeah.
So you was off your night and you thought, do you know what, this will be funny.
Yeah, I'm just going to dive in here. Right by the nuclear plant on the island. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So I come back to England and I was I feel right on top of everything else I was doing. Turns out I caught a weird version of TB. Yeah, I mean, I took some big risks. That was my life. The routine was getting it in the morning, using that to get more in the lunchtime, to get more at lunchtime, evening. That was like that for about 3 or 4 months before I actually got to where it was absolutely, it was make or break. My drug use took me to near death and I was given pretty much days.
I think that sober people fucking get the piss taken out of them for turning into fucking gurus now because we want to share.
Yeah.
What's that? Be your own guru.
Just a menace. Menace is sobriety.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Menace to Sobriety with your host, Daniel O'Reilly, aka Dapper Laughs. Now, I've got a very important, exciting, internationally known guest today. After 35 years of working as a successful DJ and after 3 weeks of visiting a detox facility in 1996 and only been given 2 weeks to live, he's never looked back or returned to his old behaviours. He works in the industry. He's been compelled to help other people with drug and alcohol charity called Blenheim CDP.
No, it's a Blenheim CDP. I'll tell you about that.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, let's just get straight to it, right? The geezer's a legend, international DJ and star, part of my childhood, a well-known brand just in his name. It's Brandon Block. I had all this stuff written
Frankie, man. Frankie.
I love that. So we're, I had all this really stuff, but I'll tell you what we'll do. We can go through all of this jazz, but we started chatting. How did we start chatting? We started chatting once I started doing my, well, you like the Kid Frankie video.
No, I've seen you on Instagram. I actually wanted to ask you, what
Yeah.
How long have you been doing that now? How is it?
Years, man. Yeah, since 2010. So that's what I've always done. Created characters, created comedy around life experience.
That's great. And what was your first platform? Facebook?
Nah, Vine, mate. Back in the day, Vine.
That's the 5-minute videos.
That's the 5 second.
Videos,
6-second videos. Yeah, mate.
Which they've now transferred into TikTok, which is now ruining everyone's lives.
It's crazy. It's a bit of a nonce platform. A bit old for it, but I'm smashing it on there. But yeah,
No, listen. I love your work, and we've my mate Paul Byrne, who's part of our Happy Dose charity. He always mentioned you and said that you would be up for coming to talk at our groups we run at some point. So
and then I asked you to come.
Absolutely, we got talking, and obviously you're on your journey now. Of making the awareness or raising the awareness about men talking out about their mental health. Yeah. Look. Do you mind if I rabbit on?
No, I'll tell you what. You go for it. I think first of all, he loves it. He's ready. I think first off, like, just to give, like, because everyone my age range, my generation, 100% will know who you are. I've raved to you. I've been in the club raving to you. But back in the day, you were an absolute legend when it comes to DJing. One of the biggest names over in Ibiza. So start off by telling first of all the audience that might not know you a bit about you, who you are, your journey, and how it turned into this, and then just go for it. Yeah.
Thank you very much, by the way. That's a lovely intro. And so basically, my name's Brandon Block. I've, as you said, I was very fortunate, and I'm very grateful. We're still to this day to be able to play records to wonderful people, make them dance. I was very fortunate again to be part of the. How do we say, the Ibiza sort of house, early acid house, Balearic scene, which was incredible, I must hasten to add. Again, myself and Alex P, who's my old DJ partner, I'm still obviously very good friends to this day. Alex very kindly, I'll say it quickly because there's lots of bits to it. I was very fortunate that to be able to play music. I was always passionate about my music, and the other stuff that we'll talk about later came along in addition to that.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I grew up in the 80s, and we used to drink. Pubs was our thing. That was our social network in the 80s. Pub 80s they were called. They were modern day, so they had music. That's my first DJing gig was in a pub, my local pub. Yeah. With my mate Ali, and believe it or not, this is the name of my sound. Let's say my mobile disco. It was called Ecstasy Disco.
Love that. I want to go there right now.
And it was in 1985. So
I was born in '84. Yeah, go on. Yeah, just tell me about the level it got to in Ibiza. The level.
The level of
fame and
I was going to say fame. Yeah, well, the level of let's say notoriety would be more as a a better term for myself. Like, it was incredible. I mean, look, the Ibiza then was just an experience for everyone. It was like, you know, no one knew what was. It was no rules, but it wasn't like
mayhem. It
wasn't mayhem.
It's like freedom.
Yeah, it was like that. It was like, you know, can you imagine those Woodstock 1969?
Yeah.
This would be the equivalent, and it was the summer of love. They said, yeah. So, you know, everyone was there, free spirited. I mean, yes, there was drugs. But, you know, it was mostly about the music and this new musical revolution, embracing a Balearic sound, which was sort of an eclectic mix of just tunes that you wouldn't normally play in a discotheque, let's say, or house music, which would be played on a dance floor. The Balearic sound was more euphoric. It's just people chose tunes which would just have an emotional attachment to, without really, and you go, oh my god, and you know, someone said, say, because don't forget in the 80s you had many genres. Skinheads, rude boys, punks, disco people, soul people.
I love 80s music.
I love it. I grew up with it.
It's nostalgia, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Then you say, what culture? That was your culture then, wasn't it? So I'm a soul boy. I've got my dicky belt. I've got my soul trousers on, all that stuff. Anyway, so look, musically it was a melting pot. Musically it was eclectic, to say the least, in Ibiza. And obviously back in England, and you know, we championed house music from America, which was all about love. Pretty much all the vocal stuff was, all the garage stuff was singing about love, and all the it was just, it was a groove that we needed to, and we loved it, and we embraced it. We took it worldwide, pretty much.
You became a household name. Everyone knows the name. And when you were over there, you were doing the biggest clubs and getting paid the biggest money, doing the biggest club with other amazing artists. And yeah, man, and you had music in the charts. Did you have music in the charts?
I did. I was very, see, this is all happens after I'd stopped taking gear, right? I'll tell you, I'll get to, because it was like, it's a strange one, because it would, like, say, I would say, if you'd call it success, i.e. that sort of thing, it happened afterwards. It wasn't during that. That was like, the crazy days were crazy. There was nothing else could go on apart from partying.
Because we had a brief chat, and I always do this. Let's not talk before we get on the podcast, but you kind of just brushed on, because I want to get the reason why this was such a cool fit for you to come on is because you're very much like myself, but maybe on another level. But you experienced the drink, the drugs, and everything, and one day you just decided you're going to stop. But talk to me about, alongside the fame, the money, the music, the scene, what level did you get to in regards to your drug use and stuff like that? So how bad did it get?
I have got a biography. I did a book in 2011. It's called The Life and Lines of Brandon Block.
Wow, I like that.
Yeah, so, and that was something that I'd never thought about doing. A mate of mine approached me and said, you should write a book about your stories. And obviously at that time I was still going through, we all go through, it's life. Yeah. Just, you know, our life changes.
It does. I bet it seems like a different life, though.
Oh, now it's a completely different life, and you know, I'm grateful to be here, because I very nearly wasn't, and that was my drug use took me to near death, and I was given pretty much days.
Wow.
When I went to finally see a doctor who, in Harley Street, who's my mentor to this day, in fact. So he's a psychiatrist, he was the head of his game back then, and we speak to this day, 30 years down the line, or 25 years.
Right.
And you'll understand, when I did the work in the drug and alcohol field, he took my caseload. He would be, if I was struggling with stuff and say, oh, I'm struggling with this, I'd like some help with this, I would ring him up and say, and he'd help me. And he refers people to me now, and he's still the head psychiatrist at the Priory.
Wow.
Yeah. So
that's crazy that you went from being that to on the other side of it.
Well, look, I think those paths just open up to you, and it's about, you know, you've got to look at your options, and what can I offer? You know, I need to be. We're humans.
Yeah.
We have an innate urge to give back, regardless.
Yeah.
I mean, look, there are certain people who aren't, obviously, but you know, generally, we at some point in lives we think we want to help our fellow man or fellow woman or fellow human, let's say, and that's because we're connected animals.
Yeah.
We are, you know, we're not great on our own all the time. I mean, it's great to be a survival like Bear Grylls, but you know, 3 months in the jungle, okay, you want to come home and see your family or whatever, you know. So,
of course.
But generally, we are.
Yeah,
we're creatures of habit, which I'll get onto.
Yeah. So so just to jump in there, so I just want to give, before we talk about all the amazing stuff that you've done and what you've learned, I just want to give people out there sort of the gravity of it.
So the amount is, I was
not just the amount, but I mean like what your reputation was, and
I was existing on cocaine.
Wow.
Literally, that was my life. the routine was getting it in the morning, using that to get more in the lunchtime, to get more at lunchtime, evening, and that was like that for about 3 or 4 months before I actually got to where it was absolutely it was make or break, because up to that I'd got myself very ill. And you were saying I did a really crazy thing. I jumped off the ferry in Hong Kong into the dirtiest water in the world.
What?
Yeah, off my nut. I jumped off, did a swan dive, the whole in front of all some friends to this day still, some very good pals. But
You was off your nut and you thought, you know what, this will be funny.
Yeah, I'm just going to dive here, right by the next nuclear plant on the island near.
Oh.
Yeah, so I come back to England and I thought, I don't feel right. I don't feel right. On top of everything else I was doing, turns out I'd caught a weird version of TB. Ugh. So I had to eventually have some of my lung removed.
Oh my God.
So yeah, I mean, I took some big risks. So that was the severity of my crazy times.
Yeah, I mean, there's that famous clip which I've got so many cringe moments of myself in my life, and there's that famous clip of you at the Brit Awards. Is that one of your? I mean, do you laugh at it, or is it one of your?
I laugh at it now because you know what? It was
it was fucking brilliant. It was brilliant. If you haven't seen it,
I mean, I was a little bit cringe the next day, but because look, the story behind that is because it was quite incestuous, and I mean that because my best mate, who I literally grew up with, Matthew, he was so we know that. Right, here's the story. So for those of you who don't know, I was what's the word? I was coaxed into running on stage at the Brit Awards in 1999, which is 20 years ago now. 22 years ago.
It's so funny, mate.
And who by Dane Bowers, Dane from Another Level. So Dane said, "Oh, you've won an award," and I'd actually been. We did my band, which he was talking about, being on Top of the Pops, which I was. I ended up on the stage. Having a little bit of a banter with Ronnie Wood, and see
Ronnie Wood chucked a drink on you, didn't he? And then you come back and started on him.
No, I didn't actually. If you watch it, there's no violence.
No, you're just saying, "What did you say?
What did you call me?"
Yeah.
Anyway, so what did you call me? I think, "Thank you very much, old bastard." Which was, but look, I spoke to Ronnie 2 weeks after it because I was with Sid Owen at his evening party from EastEnders, and Ronnie was there, so we made up sort of thing. He said, "You're the most famous band in British pop," and I was like, "Oh God." Yeah. But anyway, so that the thing about that was my Matthew was partners with Ronnie's son Jamie, and they organised the Brits after party, and had already asked me to DJ at that as well.
Right.
So the beat, me being there was an afterthought because it was something, because I was number 3 in the charts.
Yeah.
By default, the act was nominated for British Dance Act because the number 1 at the time was an American band.
Right. Okay.
So they said, right, because you were the next top entry, you're now nominated alongside Norman, Fatboy Slim, and various, other.
So you were nominated for an award.
Yes, but we weren't going to win.
Yeah.
But it turns out that he said you won an award, and I just said I'm going to get it, and it wasn't that award at all.
But they were winding you up.
Yeah.
Oh, so you were off your nut though, yeah?
I was a little bit inebriated.
Yeah, and someone, and you were at the side of the stage in the Brit Awards. Someone said you've won an award.
Well, no, I wasn't at the side of the stage because we was sitting at a table. We had a table. Ministry of Sound had got us a table. Because I said, look.
Oh, you were sitting in front and you walked around and on the stage?
I walked through the crowd. I did the proper.
Should I get the video up?
Have you got the video?
I can probably find it, yeah.
It's on YouTube. I walked. No, you won't see. They won't show you me walk. I did the walk like we're going to accept an award. Come from the back.
Yeah.
Walk down the front. All the security.
Right.
Like,
how many people were watching that live?
About 2 billion.
Oh, it's funny though, because you just look like that geezer that's had a few too many at a party.
Exactly what it was. Yeah. And I was like, if I watched it again, I look around and they say, "You ain't won." I go, like.
He's found it. Yeah, that's it. It's after the Star Wars bit because I watched it this morning. Rewind it a little bit. Can you get the sound on it?
I think so.
When was the last time you watched this?
People do it every year.
You can't get the sound on it, no?
I think it's recording the sound.
Oh, okay, look.
Don't worry, look, you can show it.
Yeah, add it in. He don't want to watch it. He don't want.
I might watch it. It was quite fun. But so there was so the actual film, award that was given away was American Beauty, best film soundtrack.
Oh, right, so it wasn't even about music.
No.
I love that.
Out there anyway.
I love that. Whereabouts did that lie within your, in regards to when you started going clean and sober? How was that? Was that?
Well, look, so.
Or were people, when that happened, were people coming to you and going, "Mate, are you all right?" Did they think that was a problem then or not? Or was it just, no?
Look, I stopped taking drugs in '96. That's when
Right.
I went to Detox.
Okay,
I
wow.
never went back.
Okay.
I never relapsed. So that was my goal, to stop taking drugs.
Taking drugs, yeah.
I did.
I can't. And you just done that yourself, didn't you?
Yeah.
That's yeah.
But I was, as I said, I was going back to when I was really ill. I was coming home and it was like self-medicating because I was secretly, the fear I was living with, and we live in fear. A lot of us live in fear anyway. But at that time, the fear was living without drugs. The fear of living without drugs was holding me in where I was.
What you were fearing, comprehending life without drugs?
Yeah, exactly, because hadn't done it for so long. I'd not been
Sober for
straight
so long.
or straight for like 10 years, not one day.
Yeah. Wow. You'd always had a bump or something.
Always something
For about 10 years.
10 years. So so you've got to think about changing a whole life.
Yeah.
And trying to live without that. So that was the fear that was holding me back. Anyway, so I got to this one day when I was, as I said, I was really ill. I was in hospital. I was trying to get more painkillers because the pain was just overwhelming. I was taking so much cocaine, it wasn't even masking the pain anymore. It was like, so I was on a trip. I was ready to go. And I thought, I'm just going to
Die.
Yeah. Just going to let it happen. And it didn't. It didn't happen quick enough. Well, I say quick enough, and thank God it didn't because, excuse me.
Yeah.
And thank God it didn't. I was sitting in the hospital and had this, right, so here's the moment, the pivotal moment of enlightenment, let's say.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you've ever experienced this, those moments in your life where you are absolutely so, and this is very difficult because especially with the technology, man. So those moments in your life when you are absolutely relaxed, literally thinking about nothing.
Few and far between.
Very few and far between. But they happen sometimes, right? So I'm going to talk about some neuroscience. So anxiety, right, is our inbuilt instinct for fight or flight. You know that? But we are conditioned to live in a very anxious world because we look at news and we look at our phones and we live in comparisons. You think, I'm not good enough because I haven't got that. And it's all like that old saying, keeping up with the Joneses. Well, the Joneses are in your pocket now.
Yeah.
And this is, so you consider we're resonating at a level of stress. We need a bit of stress to get out of bed in the morning, right? Because it motivates us.
Yeah.
But our world generally keeps us there. So this is why the happy place is hard to find. Because you have to be completely relaxed and not thinking about past, future, and living in the present moment. This is what Eckhart Tolle says. It's this now.
That's what I call the meditation, the Buddhas and all that stuff is about, isn't
but
it?
think about it. If you just
focus on what's going on right now, there's nothing to worry about.
There's nothing there, nothing there.
Yeah.
Nothing to worry about.
Yeah.
So
But that's a skill, isn't it?
It's a skill, it's practice. It's
Yeah.
again like changing a habit. But then it will become normal. So that's what happened to me that moment in hospital, right? I let go of the anxiety. Anxiety will last for a period of time.
You had a moment of clarity.
I was saying the anxiety of letting go of that fear. Anxiety will last this long. It won't kill you, and it will get to that height, and then it will go away. But it's how long you can stay there. But it won't go any higher than the worst anxiety moment. So I'd got to that peak of anxiety in that particular episode, let's say, and it just went. And I was sitting in the hospital, and it went. It felt like my brain had dropped. And I went, and it was like I'd let go of the biggest stress in my life. And I went, I took a deep breath and I went, God, I can do this.
Wow.
And that's what spurred me to then find my doctor, go to the detox, blah, blah, blah. Not before I'd had the biggest session of my life.
Yeah, but people say that you have that one last one, didn't you?
Yeah, and I had no intention, but I was. And he said to me when I went to find him and I saw him, he said he was in Harley Street, and he's quoted in my book, and he's a specialist in cocaine and stuff like that. I've never met a man take as much cocaine and still stand up.
Wow,
that's my doctor saying that, right? So it was quite bad. Anyway, so he said to me, "Come and see me." He said, I could save your life if you come in here like ASAP. He said, I don't know how long you'll last if you go out again. And I went, okay, I'll be in Monday morning. And he went, right, it was Thursday.
Oh, so you'd done a Thursday fight. Did you sleep till you saw him?
Actually, no, I didn't go as hell-bent as I thought, because I thought, okay, I can only max out so much. I know this thing inside out now. But then Sunday came and it was like, probably subconsciously thinking, I'm in tomorrow. That's me done. I didn't have any. I was thinking I'm in, and that's my life changing. So that was my decision at the time. I think that's my thought process as well. I had no. So I went and I was DJing at the Ministry of Sound that night. Can you believe? So I drove there, I drove on my own, oblivious. I don't know what was going on. I was so not only it was just because my brain was fried.
Yeah,
it was like
yeah.
Tron.
Yeah, yeah.
It was like Electric Man. It was ridiculous. Anyway, so I drove more than I've ever done in my life in that one night. I can't even remember the amount. It was constant all night, and I went back to the local estate where my pals used to live, and I was backwards and forwards to my house and the estate 6 times that night to pick up. It was like.
Get as much as you can.
Yeah, go and have some of them, take some home, go back there, take some home, and by the time it was like 9 o'clock in the morning, it was I can't even describe it. It was horrendous.
Fucking hell.
Anyway, I went back one more time, and they got to bed. It was like, no, what's going to happen now? Anyway, so I've turned up at the hospital. I went
Off your fucking nut.
off my nut. I went,
Oh, mate.
and I walked straight in, and they said, right, turn your pockets out, and I had all like diazepams, all the downers and benzos and everything. And they said, well, you can't take them away. Oh yes, we've got to take everything away, mate. It's not like because you didn't know about anything then. Just said, oh really? So everything went, and then from then it's like and I was reading something yesterday about, and I learned this a long time ago, but I read again yesterday something about when you're in the grips of like that behaviours, because you're not thinking about anything else, you don't learn, you don't mature. Emotionally,
All you're thinking about is drug, getting it, using it,
Exactly.
coming
So-
off it.
all that stuff, the whole life. So you don't think about life
Yeah. Well,
in normality as we know it. Let's say. So you're not learning things, you're not reading stuff. You're just out there.
you
So
just live. You're not even living. You're just fucking Groundhog Day.
existing.
Yeah.
Exactly. So then the learning starts, and then then the fear sets in. But because you're in detox, you're like in cotton wool. It's like rehab, a shorter version of rehab, basically. So you're you're taken care of. You're surrounded by people who are in the same journey, as you said. Like you experience that with your groups and stuff,
Yeah.
which are invaluable. By the way, you need that stuff. We can't do it on our own. And I say to anyone who's struggling, while I get it in here, make sure you reach out. Dapper will help you. I mean, if you want to get up to me, we can sort that stuff out. But don't do it alone. And it was scary, and it got the work. And then I ended up sitting in a room for 3 months like this, in the corner of a room, just getting hold of my head, because it was like it was bombs going off. It was like, because stimulants for your psychology are the worst thing, because it's like like constant 100 mile an hour. All of a sudden the brakes are on,
Yeah.
and
yeah.
then
Yeah.
the secret. Do you know The Secret?
I've seen The Secret. Yeah, I've seen that, the book and the
Right, so
film. Yeah.
you imagine this having 60,000 thoughts a day, normally, as a human who's not used loads of drugs, right? To manage those thoughts and think about the ones that are fearful or
Yeah.
stressing us, you have to have a system. So your body. So I know, for instance, I can look at that TV screen. There's nothing to be afraid of just yet, right?
Yeah.
Or the curtain.
Yeah, yeah.
Or the mic. So those things aren't going to bother me. But if I see a tiger sitting in the corner there,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going to start thinking.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So 60,000 of them, all these things are little passing thoughts, but I know about. So think about that, and never having actually had to experience those thoughts before.
Because you've just been high or dampen them. Yeah. Well,
Then all of a sudden,
yeah, well, the way that I can relate to that 100% is that because I've got ADHD,
Yeah.
I was told that by my counsellor that the drug use was it was a form of soothing it as well, because they give like stimulants to people with ADHD to calm it down. It's weird. They give like speed to kids
Ritalin
and Ritalin and all that. And I found that with the cocaine that the come downs and stuff for me were the worst, because it was like everything was coming back a million miles an hour. But while I was drinking or on it or whatever, my mind was calm. But now I feel like once I got past, like I said to you outside, that I had a bit of a wobble this week where I almost cracked, but I saw the signs, saw the triggers. But that calm and that peace that you were talking about a minute ago, I've had a lot more often. Well, in this last 112 days or whatever, I have little moments to myself now. Like once I've done a few things and I'm sat down and I'm like chilled, I'm like, there's no worry, there's no anxiety, there's no need for something. I just kind of feel a little bit, this is all right.
isn't that a great feeling?
It's the best feeling in the world.
Because, and what you've done there is, and the thing is, you've done it yourself. You've found your own peace. You've found, and unfortunately, some people are a little bit too late when it comes to that. So this is why but you managed to sort that, see that thing happening, and go.
Well, I've definitely delved. Sorry, go on.
No, go on. No, carry on.
No, I just delved. We spoke about it outside a lot, and I think we agree on something, and maybe I have the same sort of philosophy on something. Is that the key to overcoming your addictions or negative behaviours or negative thoughts, and that is understanding your thinking, isn't it? It's understanding your thinking.
All about that, and you know, I've practiced this thing about the thing, like changing your thoughts, because thoughts evoke emotions, and same way. Like, so for instance, here's another thing. So it's the neurochemistry, neuroscience. So you've got brain cells in your stomach, brain cells in your heart. You've got heart cells in your brain. All that stuff. It's called heart-brain coherence. So have you noticed? Like, I'll tell you something, right? So have you heard of AF, arterial fibrillation?
No.
It's something that, it's a lot more common now, and it's a thing that can be triggered, or it's something that's in your heart. Your valves don't beat in time.
Right. Okay.
So it goes irregular heartbeat.
Right.
And it can make you dizzy.
And it feels like a panic attack.
Exactly. So palpitations and all that stuff. But it's actually, I realised that I got it a long time ago for one episode of something. I can't remember exactly what it's triggered it, but it triggered it. And it was like, I thought, oh, what's going on?
Yeah.
So I ended up in the hospital, and it turns out it calmed down. But then I'd created a neural pathway with that trigger, whatever it was, way back when.
So
right?
whenever it happened, that would happen.
There you go. And that's heart-brain coherence. And then more recently, with my move to Bournemouth, which I had to do twice, I had to move twice in a year. Out of one house I'd actually bought, because the lease fell through, and sell that and move on to another one. And do that whole process twice. Yeah. So it was quite stressful. So I realised that my drama centre, when I stopped taking gear, I was missing drama. This is why we sometimes, as humans, go to a place that gets drama. We think negatively because we're going to get the release of the chemicals. So if you decide the happy place, let's say, is the present now, you've got to practice it. You said that, right? Yeah. And then you get the release of serotonin, the mood. You go, oh, I'm feeling nice and chilled and lovely. And then something can make you really happy and get you high. Go, oh, dopamine, lovely. Yeah. Whereas the easiest way to get a fix of changing feelings
is drama.
Drama. Negative.
Is fucking beef.
You know, you said instant gratification earlier when we were speaking outside. You meant how quick. Yeah. How quickly can you think negatively?
Yeah, very quick. Yeah.
And you go, oh.
Yeah. That makes me think that as humans now, that our brains are so dangerously overstimulated by everything from social media to drugs to lights to sound to music to everything to emotion.
The food we have as well, like super stimulus and Coca-Cola, like everything is just getting that dopamine hit straight away. Yeah, it's all there all the time.
But it's not always dopamine, because it's not. If you notice the negative thinking. Yeah. Doesn't make you happy.
Oh, the cortisol can be addictive as well.
There you go, it's cortisol. But what cortisol does is it prepares you for fight or flight. So you know you're already stressed out.
It's about us just wanting to feel something.
Yes, feel something different. We're experiential. Exactly. Yeah. You've got the nail on the head. We are experiential creatures. We want to experience things different than what our fundamental norms.
Yeah, it's like Prince Harry said in his biography when he was using cocaine. He just said, and I related to it in a way, that he just said he just wanted to feel something. He just wanted to feel something. Yeah?
Different, exactly.
Feel something different, and that was my coping mechanism for years. And this week I was like, I managed to train my thought process and watch my triggers now, because I was like, so what do I want? So I was like getting stressed. I was like, oh my God, I'm thinking about getting on the smash. Why am I thinking about getting on the smash? Oh, what? Do you know why? Because I want to relax. But it ain't because what I want to relax. It's because I want to escape this feeling. So I want to escape. So what I want to do is I want to get away. I want to numb it, right? So I'm like, right. So what I want to do is I want to use drugs and drink to get away from my life. And what's my life now? This weekend, my missus is away and I'm looking after my kids. So what? I don't want to be here with my kids when I'm meant to be looking after them.
It's a great coping mechanism.
And I spoke to myself about it. I even recorded myself doing it. And I was like, right, okay, so I'd managed to talk myself out of it, I guess.
You rationalised it. Yeah. It's called rational thinking. When you think irrationally, you're not thinking, you're reacting. You're not responding.
Right. Wow, that's great. Yeah, yeah.
So you made a reactionary thought. So if the thought was, right, let's go the quickest way out and get straight away smashed.
Yeah, that's right. What it used to be. It used to happen like that.
There you go. That's what happens. That's the way it is. It's the nature of the beast. It's like the instant quick fix, as you said. Yeah. So what's the best way to get changed differently out of it? Well, go and get a bottle of scotch, or I can go and get some gear. Whatever. That will change how I feel quickly. Yeah. You know that. You've practiced it. It's what makes you feel afterwards, and what you forget about that body. Humans forget pain fairly quickly. Don't like pain. We don't like sitting in pain. But when we're in pain, you forget that, because when you get smashed up, you're in pain.
Yeah.
You get hangover for 3 days. You're in pain.
Yeah.
You forget about that, didn't you? Because you think that quick fix is going to change everything, and it doesn't.
I used to do the classic thing. I always used to do the thing. Well, I get hangover, I have the hangover, I had to come down. I mean, I never used it the extent you did. I was like a session drinker. But I'd always have this sort of the same thought. I'd podcast studio right next to a railway. I love that. No, but I always used to
Talk about running off the tracks.
Going off the rails. Hey! Oh God, that's the fast line. Get up. No, no. What I was saying was, like, I always used to have like this rational thinking where after the weekend, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I'd be like, fucking hell, fuck this. I ain't getting on it again. I don't want to drink to that extent again. I spent all weekend fucked and I ended up getting on it. And then Wednesday would come, I'd feel better. Thursday, I'd start to feel normal. And I'd go, Thursday, Friday, weekend is it, back again. And it's like, it's a weird thing where you know it's ain't no good for you, but you're just stuck in that loop, isn't it?
You see, look, when you work in the drug and alcohol field, right, which I have, and by the way, the company was called Blenheim.
Yeah, Blenheim. Sorry,
Blenheim, that's all right. It's fine. They're now called Humankind, but at the time they were the biggest. And they think they still are. They're one of the biggest drug and alcohol service providers in London. So there's, when you take groups and you sit with people who are struggling with stuff, let's say, there are certain interventions, we call them.
Right.
Solution focused, which is I'm also smart recovery, which I'll tell you about. It's a model of changing your thinking, behaviours, living a balanced life, and coping with cravings and urges. It's loads of tools.
Yeah, because basically, I guess, sorry to interrupt you, but I guess if you can, instead of just saying someone stop, it's bad for you, you've got to stop, now starve yourself of it, and every time you think, you go, look, if you can go to people, right, think of this and do this, and when that happens, do this, and your mind is playing tricks on you. If you think like this, is that what that is like, basically?
But think about this: 3 months approximately to change a habit and thinking process, right? So if you're telling your mind every day, that's not what I want to think. I want to think like this. I want to think like this. Like you said, the coping mechanism you just used earlier to rationalise that whole process was incredible. By the way,
thank you. Yeah.
It's special. I've not heard anyone do it so quickly like that. So you obviously got a great awareness and a learnable, adaptable. It's called neuroplasticity. We learn, we can change, like plasticine. Our brain can change. So, yes. Oh, sorry, I've lost my train.
Yeah, if you can do that every day, over 3 months.
Every day, slowly you change your thinking. You create new neural pathways, which is new thinking. So instead of doing what you say you did, so you went through a process of thinking, right, that's the cogs I told you about. The cogs.
Yeah.
So that little cog turned into the big cog, bigger cog turned to the big cog, big turned to the big, and then all of a sudden the big cog's turning, and people are, oh, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Whereas you stop the small cog at the small cog, and it just,
it didn't turn it into actions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
and that's
so over time, you get new neural pathways, which become normal thinking. So you don't have to think about it too much. So I was just saying about working in that field, there's certain tools we use, right? So there's there's sort of groups you can follow. So you put a group on the board. And what you was mentioning there's a group, I would put it into external triggers.
Right.
A Thursday. Just a day.
Yeah.
Thursday.
Yeah. Well,
Friday.
Like coming
Saturday.
into London is a trigger for me.
Totally. All those things which are part of the routine you're in are triggers. It's the environment, isn't it? It's like when I get on the train, I know all of a sudden I'm off to London.
Yeah, and I think
I'm going to stop at see Thingy in Clapham and blah blah blah, and then I'm going to pop into Waterloo. Then I'm going to end up in wherever. I'll probably be on the 10 o'clock coming home tomorrow, sitting in the park.
Yeah.
Playing football with no ball.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's all about, for me. Look. There's many different ways to learn about this stuff now, and I think for me it's about that understanding how your mind works.
Yeah, and I think it's especially difficult for people to. I found that with my sobriety, with the, and I always use the word clarity. With the clarity that came with my sobriety, a lot of bad stuff came with that as well. Like a lot of regret, like a lot of like looking back. Like I look at certain things in my life where I'm fucking hell, I was pissed out, I pissed that person off, and I mean I've been so selfish and horrific, but with that clarity also comes like your triggers are like so clear, like but in a bad way as well. Like whereas you didn't even think of your triggers as triggers when you were using,
because you weren't. There's another tool we use, right? It's called the cycle of change. So basically, before you, this is how. So before you, let's say on your journey, before you get into the bad place, you're probably not thinking about all that stuff. Guilt, shame, embarrassment. What have I done? Who have I upset? You wouldn't be. It's just the normal. Like, so you remember when you was a kid, you'd all go out on Friday nights. You all get smashed up or whatever. Someone would fall over at their knee. Someone would upset someone.
No one gives a fuck. Yeah.
Someone call their names. It's normal behavior, pretty much.
Yeah.
But, you don't think about that. But what you do is you start thinking. So when you start on a journey, the thing you ain't going to do is unlearn what you're learning. So you're not going to go back ever to before. The normal. It's called contemplation, right? So you're not thinking about any of this stuff, as you said before. Something bad happens. When something bad happens, you go, oh. So the next time you go to do it, you think that's going to enter your mind quickly. Oh, upset him. Oh, fuck that. I'm going to go again, right?
Yeah.
And then you're in it. But then next time, double something bad happens, right? And then you think, and that keeps going until all of a sudden you go,
this is bad.
This is bad.
Yeah.
And then that's a phase called contemplation. So you're now thinking about the errors or the cons, let's say, of what's happening. But you're still weighing up the cons. You're still thinking, shall I? Or shall I? Or and eventually you get to where you go,
I can't do this no more.
I can't do that anymore. I'm just gonna but then what you've done is you've cleared your mind a bit. You're not getting blurred by all the substances. And it's the same for gambling, as John said, or anything that changes that brain chemistry and keeps you from the here and now.
Yeah, I think there's certainly so many things. There's so many things in the way of people. Like because my whole social media was based around jokes around the sesh and drinking and everything like that. So when I started making the transition, I got a lot of backlash from people like, you fucking wet wipe, you pussy, have a line, have a bag, and all this stuff. And then even some of my mates, I don't see much and stuff like that. And some of them still crack on. I never want to preach to anyone. And I'm also think to myself, I always say it's just if you have an unhealthy relationship and you do these are the things that I've done to try and get. But I think that, like we said before, there's certain words and there's certain things about this, and I'd love to use my platform to sort of change the narrative a little bit in regards to, instead of calling it instead of you have to go to rehab and call it addiction and like these scary words, if there was another way for people to look at it like, oh, do you know what, I've got swept up in an unhealthy relationship and I just want to fucking review that.
Well, exactly. I mean, look, let's face it, right? If we want to call it, let's look at it from a I'm not a scientist, I'm not a doctor, but I've done some learning, right? And I've read a bit, and I've learned a hell of a lot on my journey, let's say. Yeah. I've got a city in Guilds in Health and Social Care to work in the environment I work in. Wow. I've got a smart recovery, I'm a trainer. I've done life coaching, which, sort of is in the same way as people. And there's various other courses I've done. So it's about, oh God, I've lost my train of thought again. Come, Dan, get me back on it.
I'm just saying about the words we use and how it's scary.
Right, so the narrative, you're right. So if you change, if you say I have a set of bad behaviours and bad thinking cycles.
Yeah, that's what I call it. Yeah, negative thought loops.
It's a negative thought loop. You're right. So if I can break that thought loop somehow, it's different for everyone. Everyone's story is unique, and there are similarities in life.
Yeah.
And similarities in experiences, but what people have is different to each one.
Yeah,
it's a very unique experience. So if you change the narrative, you're right, and you change the words. It's all about labelling. It's all about language.
Yeah.
It's about, so again, ADHD. I've got it.
You definitely have, mate. Yeah.
Of course I have.
Yeah.
You know, like
People-
there you go. Look, I'm all over the
Yeah,
gap.
if people do, I know. I can feel like a rhythm of nutcaseness when I talk to people with ADHD. It's like, you know, we didn't even need cocaine, mate. We got it in our brain.
Listen to this. When you was at school, right, the reports, you go home, it was reports, it was Parents' Day today. Come here, sit down and go, oh, God.
Yeah.
What have I done now? 8 years old.
Yeah. I had all that, mate.
If only he could concentrate.
For longer, concentrate for longer. Yeah,
Keep
stop
his eye on
moving.
the job in hand and not looking, daydreaming out the window.
Yeah. My mum stopped going to my parents' evenings when I was about fucking 11. She was just like, fuck it.
I've disowned him. Not my son. I'm not.
Yeah, do you want to come and see how your son's getting on? I've got him at home. I fucking know. I know how he's getting on. Right, I'll tell you what. Let's have a little chat about Celebrity Big Brother, just because I did that as well.
Did you?
I did CBB. Yeah.
When was that?
I was on the last ever fucking episode before they cancelled the thing, but I don't know if that was.
That was last year. That was the year.
It was
after.
the year of the woman I was on. They put me on. I was meant to be like the bad guy in there, but I was in there with John Barnes. He was on it.
Was that recent? That was 2001, 19?
I don't know. Yeah, a few years back. Yeah, I was on it, but I done all right. I done it personally. I think because I had a lot of controversy because of my comedy, like upsetting people back in the day. I got cancelled and all that for some of my jokes. People thought I was sexist and misogynistic, but I think what Big Brother done for me is it showed people that I was just a twat. Do you know what I mean? There was no malice in it. Right? I was just a bit of a knob that said knobhead stuff. But I struggled in there, and I'll tell you what I struggled because I hadn't even contemplated going down the road that I had an unhealthy relationship with alcohol. But when I was in there, I realised how much I was manipulated by the alcohol, how I was waiting for them to you know,
go and get the beers
yeah, for them to release the alcohol. Like, and I watched as well. It's like if there was a kickoff, if something bad had happened, they'd give fucking shitloads of booze, like to fucking make it worse. And also I realised because they'd open the door and they'd say, you know, it's at 7 o'clock or whatever. They'd open the door and they'd say, "Here is your alcohol." I'll go in and there'd be like 3 bottles of wine and 4 beers between 16 of us. So I'd be like, "Boom, fucking hell, mate!" And I was like, "I need to get fucked up in here, like to survive this." And then I watched some of the clips back when I was like smashed, and I'm like, "Yeah, man, But the thing is, people watching that would just be watching a lad that's fucking having a drink and stuff like that, not looking at it going, he's using that booze to fucking cope. No. So that's a bit painful for me to watch, but all in all, it's a good experience. How was yours? And where were you on your journey when you went in?
Oh, man. So I had no idea because, I mean, look, I didn't watch it after, literally. I've never really watched the show as such. I've never been an avid. I think when they first did it, like I think maybe Dane was on one of them and Bez. I was offered to go like 4 or 5 times in the past. Always been in the mix and got picked at the last minute. So we've got Bez has come on, or someone else from the music industry had come on. So anyway, I was actually working for the NHS at the time, and I was working in.
And you were clean when you went in there, yeah? And all
Yeah. I was working in very tough environment. It was working with people with multiple complex needs, which is like mental health issues, substance abuse, criminality, homelessness, a whole range of needs, complex needs. And our job was to work quite closely with them, try and improve their lives by, you know, signposting and putting people in the right direction, and hopefully maybe, you know, contacting some of the services they need to make them feel better. So on the back of that, I was in burnout, and we discussed that earlier. Burnout is overstimulated. It means there's too much going on. Like you just said about looking at your social media all day long.
Killing me, yeah.
At the end of the day, you're brain dead.
Yeah.
And it's worn out.
Yeah.
So that's what burnout. And I was burnt out emotionally, spiritually, because I was dealing with people's emotions and people's, you know.
It was drawing your feel good factor. It was drawing your good vibes out of you. Yeah.
So I went into that house like that, and I was like, and they was expecting Brandon to know, and I said, "He's gone, mate." And then the show's psychologist, turns out, was a fan from back in the day, an old raver maybe. He said, "Oh, Brand, I can't believe you're in the show." And he said, "But you're..." And they come and see you like beforehand to make sure you're compost mentis enough. And he came to see me in the room and he went, "What have you been doing?" I said it about the job and he went, "Oh my God." He said, "I couldn't even do that." He said, "I don't know how you're going to cope in here."
Yeah.
I can see you're going through, and I was going through my self-therapy at the time. I was trying to build myself up. I was drained.
Yeah. But so, it's tricky because even the therapists are in there. The therapists are there to check you're right, but the producers want you to be fucked.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So, it's such a hard medium. They're like, right, is he fucked? Yeah, but he's not too fucked, is he? No, he's just fucked enough.
Yeah.
That's
and
what they're like.
I think I was overfucked.
Yeah.
So I just he said to me each day, he said, look, you'll have to see me each day. I said, I'm going to see you each day. And I was like, he said, have you stopped smoking? I said, I have. He said, get yourself 200 mile per lights before you go in. And it was like straight like the second day. I was like,
you needed it. You need it in there.
And then, and after about 2 weeks, and I was still struggling to calm my anxiety. And I didn't know who I was. I was thinking, I'm doing this work outside, which is really, quite tough. And I'm coming here, and I was thinking, do I need to? Am I on telly again? Am I?
What am I? Am I Brandon Block?
Or am I
DJ? Or am I a new personality? What am I?
Yeah, exactly. So I was lost. You're so aware, by the way. I love your intuition.
Thank you.
Hang on, mate. You can help a lot of people. And he said to me, look, he said, I can't see you do this to yourself. I'm not on telly. He said, you need... And he said, do you want me to call anyone? And in hindsight, I should have said yes. My best pal, who was sitting monitoring all the social medias and all that stuff, he said I was like way ahead in polls and stuff. And he said, if you'd have rung me, I'd have said, stay in there, whatever. So anyway.
Did you pull yourself out?
I had to go. I was like, it was hard work.
Yeah.
And I changed because I loved the experience. And I loved being in amongst the people. I knew a lot of people in there, quite friends, with, still stay in contact.
Yeah.
And he said, look, you can go out the back door. You don't have to make a big drama about it. So I said, I think it's best if I...
It's hard. It's really hard because you lose the money. Obviously, the money.
Well, yeah.
The money's a big thing. You lose the money, and that's what motivated me to stay in there. But the real tough thing about Big Brother and going into that environment is if you have anything big going on in your mind, you have the fucking time, space to think about it, and because time just rolls on and on and on, and you don't know what the time is, and they create conflict in there. You can feel yourself being fucking watched, and you're watching yourself. The big thing is you start noticing your own behaviour. Really, you start noticing your own.
Totally.
And you start checking yourself. Oh, am I being too much? And then also the thing is that you are in there. You are constantly thinking, how am I being portrayed? How am I being portrayed?
Absolutely.
And then you hear that door open, and they all cheer when your name is, or if you get some booze or something. Then you got another week to fucking go. Fucking hell! What? They found out I had a wank in the toilet or what? Do you know what I mean? What the fuck? I had a bash in there, do you know what I mean? And after, it was the worst thing I'd ever done because I fucking... I did, man.
I saw that episode, yeah.
Yeah, I did. I went, honestly, they got the toilets out the back, right? And what the worst thing about it was I'll just tell you this story, I might as well. But the worst thing about it was, I was thinking to myself, fuck me, I ain't had a wank in like 8 days. And I was like, I can feel the tension building. It's the longest I'd got it in my life since I was about 14 without having a bash, without spunking. It was about 8 days or something. And I was fucking vibrating on the bollocks. And I was like, maybe this is making you know what it's like, right? Plus whatever, Anne Widdecombe was walking around in like a negligee, and I was like getting weird semis and that. It was bad. But one of the lads in there, I won't name any names because I don't want to throw anyone under the bus, but one of the lads in there said, turn on the taps. Because they got microphones in the toilets, haven't they?
Of course
they got microphones in the toilet. So the last thing you want is the guy to go, day 54, and you're... that was in the toilets, like, do you know what I mean? So I was in there, and he said, turn on the taps and they won't hear you. I said, you fucking... But he didn't, because they're listening to everything, so he just went in and he went, turn on the taps. And I was like, what are you talking about, bro? And he go, turn on the taps. So I was like, oh, all right, okay, I get it. I go, you test it out then. So he went in there and he come out and he was like, yeah, but then the girls that were cleaning the toilets, they come out and they announced. So I went, it smells of spunk in the toilets. Oh. Right? So, but everyone was like, they were like, somebody's had a wank in there. And because I knew, I was like, aha! And they was like, looked at me and I was like, fuck. No, it weren't me. So then it was like even more anxiety about doing it. So I thought, I know what I'm going to do. They got Johnny's in the outside toilet, the one in the thing. I thought, I'll have a posh wank, innit, right? Because then they won't be able to smell it. So, but what I used to, but they don't have locks on the doors. So I went to the other one, and what I done is I took the bin outside and I put it outside the door to show that I was in there, so no one would walk in. Then I fucking got the Johnny and that, and then I realised I put the bin outside, and I'd fucking tried to flush the fucking thing, and it wouldn't go down. And
you couldn't get out anyway.
So I had a jumper on like this. So I took the thing out and I put the Johnny and I had it in there. And then I walked out on the counter. I was like, no. I got the bin and I was like, fucking. And then for fucking days and days, I'm like, is that on the telly, bro? Is that on the fucking telly? But it never come out.
Oh my God. Well, it has now.
Oh shit. But yeah, so
I don't remember. Do you see?
Yeah.
That's a blur to me. Like
Yeah.
that. I can't remember the The toilet outside. Where was that? That was in. See,
I say not the toilet outside, but there's another room, isn't there? Where the bathroom is.
Yes.
And all
Oh God, yes. The little. I did. Yes, I vaguely remember. Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah. What used to get me with that is people trying to make you say stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like people come and go, oh yeah, so in there, like sitting down, like other geezers, like normal geezers, come and go, oh yeah, so what's your opinion on the LGBT community? I'm like, what the fuck you asking me about that for? Like this is not a normal conversation. And like those situations where people are in there trying to raise their fame when I was just in there for a bit of fucking dough, and you're like, but yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't remember. See, 'cause I was in such a place. I don't remember. That was a whirlwind of an experience. You know? I mean, I actually realised that there was one point. Excuse me again. And they shut. Did they ever shut the screens on the doors to the outside?
Yeah.
Overcome with like
claustrophobia.
Oh,
yeah,
mate.
Yeah, it's bad enough anyway in there.
I couldn't get out of it. I couldn't see any light. It was like the worst thing ever.
Yeah, I just had my father had just died, and I just had a daughter, and I had this overwhelming feeling of guilt and like ego. Like I was like, I'm in here trying to repair my career and make a bit of money, and my missus was outside and I thought, what's going on in the press? And I kept going up to the diary room and saying, how's my daughter? And they're like, you know, we can't tell you about what's going on. I'm like, what's going on in the press? And I couldn't handle that, and I had some breakdowns, but I got through it. But I'd never do it again.
I think for me, in the mindset, I think I would probably like to do that experience again.
What now?
Yeah, I could do it now. I mean, I'm in a much better place than I was back then. It wasn't the best timing, let's say, to come out of doing that job and straight in there, because it was literally a week before finding out.
Yeah, and your mind was filled.
It was horrendous. It was gone through it was like, I can't describe what the anxiety was like. But all learning experiences, mate. And I went straight to the kebab shop. They got me a taxi home, and I went straight to the kebab shop next to my local pub, which I used to go in because my mate used to go and watch the footy. And I went and stood by the bar, and I'm looking at the telly, and Big Brother's on, and they're all going. It's literally been half hour since I was just on the telly. Yeah. Oh, so they was all going, what you do? I was going, yeah.
What are you doing now then, mate? What's going on? You're still doing all your mental health stuff.
So
you've got a radio show as well, haven't you?
Yeah. So myself and Ricky Morris are on My Soul Radio.
Got your radio.
Alex P runs Centre Force, by the way, which is biggest station in London. Wow. And I'm on My Soul, which is the next biggest station in London, which is a Friday night, 7 till 9.
Brilliant.
Which I love. So let me go back to 2018. So on the back of the Big Brother, I come out of there, and I was in bits.
Yeah.
So I thought, I've got to do something about my mental
health, yeah.
I don't know, I've got to build myself up again. I'm lost. So I went to, have you heard of Tony Robbins? Yeah. So Tony Robbins is an American life coach. He's huge.
The big guy.
Big guy.
Yeah.
He's a great thinker and a great businessman, and he came across that model of like mass life coaching many years ago, where people go to big experiences and get empowered and all that stuff. So I went to one and I thought, oh wow, there's a way I know I can get back and get more of me back again, and ended up going on this journey of, as you did, I started doing Facebook Lives with people who've had experiences in life and overcome adversity and changed their lives for the better, which was very popular, and we called the charity Happy Days for Everyone, right? And it's still going, and we're still supporting people, and we're just about to do a collaboration with Smart Recovery, but that was the sort of journey I went on, and I needed to do that to fill me up again.
To help other people. Did you feel that? Yeah, because I feel like I said to you before, these are like counselling sessions. That when you're sharing the stuff that you're learning, it makes you feel good, doesn't it?
Well, of course, it's value for you. You've actually think, I can help someone, and actually, what I've learned, it means something.
Yeah,
it's actually So I'm not just because it goes back to we wanting to help each other.
Yeah.
So the fact that, as you said earlier, one nugget of information can change your life forever.
Yeah, mate. Yeah.
So one moment literally can be that small, massive step which changes for the right way. And, as long as you're in that place to get that, to know it, you go, oh. So if I listened to you earlier and I thought, wow, that's incredible how you know what you did and how you rationalised or how you articulated that statement.
Yeah.
I thought it was fucking incredible.
And that's why I think that sober people fucking get the piss taken out of them for turning into fucking gurus and that, because we want to share.
Yeah. But,
Yeah.
hold on.
What's that? Be your own guru.
So but you know, but it's not. Look, it's about clarity in it, and it's not about. A lot of young people ain't in that game anymore.
No, yeah.
Not taking drugs, not drinking. They're all aware of their health. They're going to the gym.
Yeah, like the generation below us, they seem to be very in tune with it more than we were. I think it's because maybe, yeah.
Well, we didn't know the impact back then. We was having what we thought was fun. It was at the time until it wasn't.
Yeah.
And you know, and that's transcended, so people know they can. It's about having a choice, isn't it? It's about having the information to say, right, I'm going to make a decision based on what I've.
Yeah, I was saying this in the last episode we've done, that, you know, I knew that taking heroin was bad from school. I knew that you know, acid will make you freak out, and I knew that drugs in general was bad, but I was never told how, like, you know, the extent of what would happen to you mentally from taking like cocaine and alcohol. And like, to me, in my culture where I grew up, like a couple of lines and a bit of gear it's just fucking.
But who knew?
Yeah.
It wasn't. So if you go back 30 years. There wasn't the available information.
No,
there wasn't the people. There wasn't people outspoken about it because it wasn't.
Yeah,
it wasn't
they
a
hadn't
done
dealt
thing.
with it yet. Yeah,
Well, of course it wasn't a done thing. You can't say, "Oh, hello, me, good big gear. I was done my nutting." You go, "What are you talking about?" And you know, it's like so.
Yeah.
They didn't know, and then as time's moved on, people have learned more about the effects and the after effects, and you know, the damage, and you know, that all stuff. So it's all about. How things evolve, isn't it? And you know, I think now with this, there's a lot of information. There's a lot of stuff learning, which is great. So the more information is information is arms, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like it's good to have that sort of knowledge. And look, I think, you know what, mate, it's about, as you said, and I think what you've done is incredible. I think it's about awareness. It's about knowing what's happening for you.
Yeah.
And just making sure that you.
Yeah.
Realise if you can say, look, you know what, this ain't working for me, and it all stopped working for me thank God, a long time ago. Yeah. Because I wouldn't be here.
Yeah, and I think it's important what I've learned from you as well, just even from this conversation. I think it's important just to be aware that I mean, definitely what I'll take from this is just to be aware that, you know, you are set in your ways, your mind, your like you said, your neurons or whatever you said about the pathways and stuff. You are set in a certain way, so you are going to feel that when you try and stop. But like you said, in 90 days, you can create new pathways, and you can trick your brain back into not needing it.
It's actually train your brain.
Train your brain. Sorry, yeah.
Because you don't. Once you see the thing about it, you've noticed, right? You make a decision which is going against what you're used to.
Yeah.
You're uncomfortable.
Yeah.
All
It's
right.
hard. Yeah.
So for instance, when you get a trigger and you go, oh, I don't feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Because it's not. It's like, oh, I'm fearful now because I'm not sure of the uncertainty.
Yeah.
Why is that happening?
And is this feeling going to last forever now?
Exactly.
Yeah,
so you think, oh,
yeah.
God, no, it doesn't. It passes. It's another saying, this shall pass.
Yeah,
this too shall pass. Everything passes. It doesn't. It doesn't remain the same. Things change because your life changes on a daily basis. But you know, the message is that there's help.
Yeah.
Listen to other people.
Yes.
Reach out if you're on your own.
Yes. Yeah.
Do not suffer in silence. Just say, because look, as you said, look, how many people are in your group? 30,000.
30,000 on the Facebook group. Yeah, they're all
30,000 people.
If
30 people can want to talk about it. It's not. It's not silence anymore. It's like we're out there to help. So everyone wants to help, and it's a great place to be right now because there's so much support. And I think if anyone's struggling, just make sure you don't feel.
Reach out, man. And yeah, I think we're going to wrap it up there, but I think we need to have another one day. I just want. Just on the fucking madness you got up to. We'll have to have another one because we spoke about a lot of really interesting stuff, and it's definitely wow. When it gets to me thinking, I think this has been a good podcast. And where can people find you? Do you do much social media? Where can they find you?
Well, to be honest, mate, I've stopped, as you said. Look, here's another thing, people. Right, this is absolutely true, and you mentioned, and you said earlier.
Yeah.
Be mindful of how much time you dedicate to your social media and your phone on a day, because as Dan said earlier, his brain hurts after about 7 hours. And if your brain starts hurting, it's too much.
Yeah.
It's not you have to manage it. You have to do it.
You have to be aware when you're falling down a fucking rabbit hole and you're sitting there and you're just going ping, ping, ping.
I know,
ping.
and it's we live in unfortunately we live in a world of comparisons now.
Yeah.
Because when you compare yourself to someone, you're obviously thinking you're not good enough.
Yeah.
And you want to aspire to be, which often means buying clothes or changing the way you look or going to certain places.
And that's how they make you consume. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Yeah. And also expectations. We live in a world of expectations. Are you expected to be like this? You're expected to achieve this. You're expected to do this, as opposed to doing your best. Like, so for instance, in a perfect world, what's perfect? Who wrote the word perfect? Who said that's perfect? And you're judging that by...
Yeah, I know.
So it's the wrong perception of perfection. So if you can say, well, I'm perfect the way I am, because I'm me. Yeah. And there's no comparison to me because this is it.
Yeah, exactly.
Who am I comparing myself to?
They say comparison is the thief of joy.
Well, it's like
I love that.
It's like a pointless. A pointless struggle, isn't it?
And I think it's bad, like especially for men out there who've got real low self-esteem, especially when it comes to if you spend all day looking at beautiful women and the sort of geezers they're with, and then you're at home with a pot belly and not much fucking dough and that, you can you've got women out there that have got like fake boobs, fake bums, fake eyelashes, fake nails, and they're looking for a real man. Do you know what I mean? And you're like, you're there going, oh, but I'm not the same as them. When it's bullshit, man. You're not going to meet people like that. It's just not real.
Well, you know what? Listen, the thing is, when I became sort of finally when you get to look, this is the key word, authentic self, right? Yeah. So if you're comparing yourself every day, just say you think, right, that's the way I need to look, and there's the look. I've got the look, and you go, right. What's changed now?
Nothing.
And you go, oh, the look's changed today. Yeah, I've got to get that look now.
Yeah, and then you're actually in your real world walking down to your local shop looking completely different. But you're like, who the fuck are you?
Where'd you go?
Yeah,
I've just popped. I don't know. I don't know who I am. And then, so it's about if you're comfortable with yourself. Yeah, which is difficult. We know it is.
It really is. But I've learned a lot, man. Like since I've gone sober this time, since I've I think accepted how much of an arsehole I was being and how much of a dick I was. I've suddenly looked around at all of the things that I thought were important, all the clothes. I used to spend a fortune on designer label clothes. I mean, I've got a McLaren sat in the garage at home. I mean, and I'm in the process now trying to sell everything to put it all into the house or do whatever. And something weird has happened to me where I'm like, fucking, what was I trying to achieve here? What was I trying to say? And what it was I think because I was getting no substance from my life. Like, for instance, I've got a beautiful life, but I always was fucking, I wanted more.
Because you probably thought, I need more.
Yeah, I need
you don't.
more.
When you think, you don't need.
Yeah, and like, if you think whatever situation you're in out there, however bad things are for you out there, there's always someone that's worse off, that's looking at you that wishes they had what you had. And I think that happiness, I'm definitely on a mission to work out how to sustain my happiness. I really am.
Well, look, I can give you a bit of. The thing about happiness is, look, it's innate, it's in us. We can be happy. So you can get up in the morning and go, right, I'm happy.
Yeah.
And then if you left that alone for half an hour, and if you left the telly off for half an hour and just
was you,
and go and just sit there for 10 minutes, down yourself, say, right, how am I feeling today? What am I thinking like? Am I thinking all right? Am I feeling all right emotionally? Give yourself 10 minutes and go, let's not think about that. Let's think about something different. That's a smart tool, by the way. And you go, okay, so I'm here now. Right, I'm prepared. I'm not going to let things affect me the way I did yesterday, let's say.
Yeah.
And so slowly, if you do that 90 days, changing that, let's say, you'll feel happier.
Yeah.
And you'll wake up on a different level.
Yeah, I completely get that. It's like when you reach for things that make you happy, they're just temporary. And also like, oh mate, I'm terrible at doing that. I've been able to get to the point now where at like 6, 7 o'clock or 5, 6, about 6, 7 o'clock, I turn my phone off. Right, I've got to the point now where I can do that and try and not post content in the evening. But in the morning, I mean, I'm straight up. I'm straight on it. I'm straight fucking. Boom,
see, see, for me, what you're doing then is you're triggering.
Yeah.
Straight away, you're triggering the dopamine or the cortisol. It depends on what you're looking at.
Yeah.
So if you're looking at a post and someone's posting, what are you talking about? You're going to go, bing, fight or flight. What are you having a go at me for? Blah, blah, blah. And immediately you've got cortisol. And this is what the problem is, because you
can become addicted to the negativity.
Of course you can. It's because it changes, as you went back to what we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
I'm feeling like this. I want to change how my body, my mind, anything, subconsciously. I'm bored now there. Let's just get some excitement.
Yeah.
Somehow, whichever way. So just gets cortisol, negative thinking straight away. And there you go, you're in it. And then if you, I know it's a minefield, isn't it? But so a minefield. Hey, but if you if you can do that, just that one thing, and don't pick that up.
Spend some time on your thought, where your mind's at.
10 minutes.
Yeah.
That is it. Turn your phone off at night, definitely, 1,000,000%.
Yeah.
And then if you can see, you just said sharing content is like, this is my. But if you are self-employed influencer, Instagram, right? Take 10 minutes for your own time.
Yeah, you're right. That's great advice.
And then you'd be surprised because you can attack the day differently then, because you won't be immersed in that.
Yeah, I'm so in tune with what you're saying. I know what you mean. It's like you get into the vibration and you're like, you can't get out of it.
And if you're calmer, the day will be better.
Yeah.
And you'll be less concerned about things.
I think one day I'll put it all down. That'll be the day when I'll put it all down, because I'm definitely addicted to the likes, the messages, the viral activity, the numbers, and stuff like that. And I think one day, I don't know when.
Listen, there's nothing wrong with being the way we live now, that's how business is done. That's how interaction, that's connection done through social media.
Well, maybe I think what I mean is I won't rely on it so much. I'll do my thing and get off it. And not be. I think we're close on time, aren't we? Yeah. But I think but.
I mean, look, you don't need to
be on it all day.
You don't look. You've got to ask yourself, like you did earlier, with that rational training, that rational way of thinking.
Yeah.
What is it doing for me?
Yeah.
Is it helping my business? Is it helping my mental state?
Yeah.
Is it helping anything that I'm doing right now to do it for so often?
Yeah, you're right.
If you can do
less of it and still have.
Well, if you put Kid Frankie here,
video.
You do Kid Frankie for half hour or 10 minutes of a wicked one.
Yeah,
he's out there for the day. There you go. That's him for the day, and then you can come back on later and you can do Dan on Menace to Sobriety. He goes, give that little brief.
You don't need to be on there all fucking day reading all the comments.
Because unless you're achieving something, but then I think that's defeating the object of having a balanced life.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
because it's out of balance. When you can be, and if you're going to want happiness, mate, it's not going to be doing that all day long. Trust me.
I know. Wow, great conversation. Brandon Block, ladies and gentlemen. And,
thank you, mate. It's lovely to see you.
You've got to come back.
I promise you.
And I'm going to come and do one of your talks. And
I've tuned out. As soon as the venue's confirmed, which we will, I'd love you to come on. So everyone, we do talks at the Ministry of Sound bi-monthly, where people like Dan come and share their experience and what's going on for them. It's a free event. You can keep an eye out on Eventbrite, social, my Instagram, Brandon Block, which is occasionally I use, not often. Yeah. But tuned out, Happy Days for Everyone charity. You can follow those and you'll see information about the groups. As I said, the most important message is if you're struggling, reach out, just ask for some help because it's out there.
Thank you for coming, mate.
It's a pleasure, mate.
Thank
really
you very much.
Honoured. Wow, it was.
Yeah. It was ups and downs, highs and lows. Oh, thank you.
It's called. I think the thing, the label I have is ADD.
ADD, yeah.
So I don't think I'm hyperactive. I can't concentrate.
Yeah, on the same.
But you know what? They've said about. Sorry.
He loves it. Go on.
It's about distraction.
Yeah.
Because if we're constantly stimulated and distracted, how's your mind all of a sudden go? Ping?
No, you're right. You're right.
It's not going to happen. So, the fact that you've got immediate
on your
notifications in your phone, you can
you get your distraction. You're in there.
As opposed to if you didn't have that, you'd be like, okay, I might go for a bike ride.
Yeah.
I might go and walk down.
I need something. You need something.
Or you're going boxing, or you might do it more often. I mean, God, I used to roller skate all the time. I can't now because of my back, but
Yeah, now you're going back a few years. I don't think they even have roller skates anymore, do they? No, I'm joking.
Yeah, but they've morphed. They've morphed into
in line.
Kias.
Yeah.
Nissan Micras. One of them on each foot.
Oh, but all right, yeah, God, we could go all day, mate. But John's looking at me like, cut it off. But listen, thank you very much for everyone that's tuned in. You grab Brandon Block on your Insta. What's your Insta? Check
Just
that.
Brandon Block.
Brandon Block.
At Brandon Block, isn't it?
Yeah, and please give him some feedback if you've heard anything that's touched Joe, or that you've resonated with. Let him know. I'm going to tag him on all the content. Give him a follow. He's doing a lot of great work. And please share the podcast. Leave us a comment. Any feedback. Make sure you subscribe. Get the word out there. And yeah, man, like Brandon said, reach out. Don't do it alone. And I hope this has helped.
Be cool. Don't be afraid.
Yeah. If you're going through a tough time at the moment, please don't suffer in silence. Feel free to pick up the phone and contact any of these helplines. I personally myself at one of my darkest points, contacted the Samaritans, and it completely changed my outlook and got me out of a really deep, dark place. A problem shared really is a problem halved. So if you don't feel confident talking to those around you, check out any of these organisations and give them a call. This is my Facebook group. Just simply search on Facebook, Men and Their Emotions. It's for men only, but once you're in there, you can talk anonymously about your problems and help others and just feel a little bit of community. So come join the conversation, Men and Their Emotions, on Facebook. Thanks for watching.
Menace is sobriety, just a menace, just a menace, just a menace. Menace is sobriety, just a menace, just